I'd like to welcome you again to a continuation of our series on defending the Bible. And we have started a brand new series that took the approach from the Quran itself. Certainly, the reason why I'm using the Quran is because I am a former Muslim myself. And the approach I took is that I looked at passages in the Quran that speaks of the Bible before the coming of Christ, during the time of Christ, and last time we concluded by talking about the time frame between Christ and the coming of Islam. Today, we are going to start looking at other passages from the Quran that deal with the time of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, and we'll look and examine those passages as it relates to the authority of the Bible, the reliability of the Bible, and its authenticity. So the first passage I would like to look at here comes from chapter 34 of the Quran, verse 31. Chapter 34, Surah Saba, which is named after a city, basically. And it's during the early Meccan phase, meaning during the time when the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, was in Mecca, the first 13 years of his prophethood. Here is what this passage says. It says, "And the unbelievers say, we will not believe in the Quran, nor in that which is between his hands." And the English translator of this verse of the Quran added clarification that which is between his hands is a reference to the Torah and the Gospel. In other words, it's reference to the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Torah and the Gospel. But I want to focus on a couple of things here. Notice these are the unbelievers, those who didn't accept to follow Islam. That's why they're called unbelievers. Saying that they do not believe not only in the Quran, they're saying in this verse, but also that which is a present tense verb, is between his hand. In other words, during the time of Muhammad, the Bible was already in existence, and this group of people who denied to follow Islam, refused to follow Islam, are saying, according to the Quran, that not only they want to believe in the Quran, but they're not going to even believe any other book, in this case, the Torah and the Gospel, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Bible, which is also in existence at the same time. Between his hand is reference to Muhammad. In other words, saying that Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, has access to the Bible, and therefore they refuse to believe not only in the Quran, but also in the Bible itself. And now let's look at another passage. This one comes from Surah Yunus, chapter 10, verse 37 of the Quran. Also during the Meccan period, late during the Meccan period, within that first 13 years basically of the time when the Prophet of Islam started his prophethood. He started in the year 610, stayed in Mecca until the year 622. So that would have been during that time frame. This verse will say, this Quran is not such as can be produced by other than Allah, other than God, but it is a verification of that which is between his hands. Notice, it's saying that this Quran is sent by God. And it was sent by God to do what? To verify the books that were between Muhammad's hand, which is the Torah and the Gospel, the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Bible. And it says, which is in the present tense. Once again, it's focusing on something that is in the time of Muhammad, during his time. And it's adding also that this Quran is basically an explanation of what? Of the book, singular. Which book? The Bible, wherein there is no doubt from the Lord of the world. So, this is saying that the Quran came to really to attest, verify, and confirm that the Bible is this book that is also from God. This is a very powerful reference. Let's look at another verse. This one from the chapter 12, Surah Yusuf, the chapter of Joseph, basically. Late Meccan, during the first 13 years of the prophethood of Muhammad, between 610 and 622 AD. This is what this verse says. It is, the it here is reference to the Quran. It is not a fabricated story, but a verification of that which is between his hands. A couple of things we notice here. It's talking about the Quran, and it's saying the Quran is a verification. Here we see the word one more time. Verification of what? Of the Torah and the Gospel. And another thing, the Torah and the Gospel, which is the Bible, is in the present tense between the hands of Muhammad. That's the reference to his here, meaning it's in his time. A detailed explanation, a guide, and a mercy to the people who believe. This is a reference basically to the Quran, saying that the Quran is a detailed explanation of what? Of the books that came before it. It's also a guide and a mercy. Now I'm going to show you in the next verse that the same description, a guide and a mercy, is applied actually to the book of Moses, as we see here in this chapter 6 of the Quran, verse 154 to 157, also another late Meccan chapter. Here's what it says. Then we gave Moses the book. It's a singular reference, the book here, which is the section of the law, the Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moses called in the Bible, the book of the law. This is what is referring to. We gave Moses the book complete. Please notice what it's saying. The book that Moses has is complete. It's not missing any part. As to whatever is excellent and what? Explanation, explaining all things in detail, just like the verse we read before. A guide and a mercy. This time it's applying the same adjectives basically to the Bible, just as it applied it to the Quran in the passage before. Why? This book was revealed, given to Moses, that they, meaning the people of Israel, the people of Moses' time, might believe in the meeting with their Lord. In fact, this is a very interesting reference to the idea of meeting with their Lord. The meeting here also could be perceived as the evidence of the event that took place in Exodus chapter 19, when God himself descended to Mount Sinai and spoke, and the people heard him speaking. We read about this in Exodus 19. We read evidence of the fact that the people were scared, terrified when they heard the voice of God in Deuteronomy chapter 18, specifically the passage 15 to 18. So the Quran is confirming events also that took place. And it's saying in this verse, and this, meaning the Quran, is a book which we have revealed. So I want you to notice something here. It says that we, God, gave Moses the book. That's the books of Moses. And it says that also we revealed the Quran. This means, according to this passage, both the Bible and the Quran are at equal par. Why would a verse like this be revealed at the time of Muhammad? And what benefit does it make if the Bible has been corrupted, unless that this passage is elevating the Bible to a status equal to the Quran, so that the people of Muhammad's time also revere the book that was given to Moses. Let's look at another one. This is the second part of this passage that we just read from chapter 6 of the Quran, Surat Al-An'am, the cattle. This passage comes from verses 154 to 157, and here is what it's saying. The book was sent down to 2 peoples before us. What book? This book is the Bible, sent down to 2 groups of people. Who are they? Christians and Jews. And for our part, now the people of Arabia, the people of the time of Muhammad saying, and for our part, we remained unacquainted with all that they learned by careful study. So the people here are complaining and saying, basically, they do not have really any acquaintance with the book that was given to the Christians and the Jews. They are not familiar with what's in it. And then the challenge is, or least you should say, if the book singular, the Bible, Torah, Gospel, Old Testament, New Testament. If the book, the Bible, had only been sent down to us, we should have followed its guidance better than they. What is the story here? The story is that the people who are following Muhammad, or at least considering to follow Muhammad, are saying that if we would have received the Bible, we probably would have done much better than what the Christians and the Jews have done in terms of obeying what the Bible has commanded them to do. Now, what's the point of this argument? If the Bible is corrupt as is, why would the people long to have that book so they would learn it, be acquainted with it, and follow its command, and therefore they can say then that we would do better than the Christians and the Jews? This is another passage telling us that this book has excellent value in it, meaning the Bible. And I hope that this part of the series has been helpful to you. We will continue in the next couple of episodes with the same theme, looking at passages that were revealed at the time of Muhammad.